I appreciate the debate that we are having today on this very important issue. I was a bit disappointed but not surprised about the slightly shrill tone from the members opposite during the Leader of the Opposition's speech, but I must say that the tone has greatly improved. I, of course, commend the Leader of the Opposition for his response to these attacks, which often has been misinterpreted, I hope not deliberately, but one can never judge that totally, in respect to proportionality, that we don't get ahead of ourselves and that we refrain from unnecessary inflaming language like shut up and go away. It is also worth noting that few have worked harder in this place than the Leader of the Opposition in terms of peace, the protection of human rights and the rule of law. I myself remember being asked in St. Petersburg by the Minister of Education of the Russian government at the time to leave that city after I condemned them for their ongoing human rights abuses. I wonder how many MPs in this chamber can say that they have stood up to a Russian minister and been asked to leave the country. I suspect very few. And so I do think it is important that we also respect the different ways many of us wish to express condemnation of ongoing human rights abuses in Russia without suggesting that some of us are traitors or other horrible things that are being called in the media. Now, of course, diplomacy works. We have seen that not only in this case, which I think the government should be applauded for, coordinated action, multilaterally, making sure that we show strength. Is that not exactly what Jeremy Corbyn, the Leader of the Opposition, I beg your pardon, called for when he said he wanted it to be coordinated? And the government listening to that should be welcomed.
But does he agree that it was at least a tad naive to call for a sample of the nerve agent to be sent to the Russians? Wasn't that a bit of a misstep by the Leader of the Opposition?
I think the importance was about the sample going to independent verification in all the processes. Whether that needed to go to Russia or whether it needed to go to The Hague was, of course, for The Hague to determine. Of course, diplomacy must be backed by strong financial sanctions. And, of course, corruption is rife in many of our companies that channel Russian money. That's why we need stronger anti-corruption and money laundering laws. One of the suggestions that a number of us have put forward, for example, around brass plate companies in the anti-money laundering bill, to allow the government to more easily shut down brass plate companies that are used in sanctions busting and money laundering, would be something very welcome if the government would accept. They rejected it in the other place because they said it could infringe the human rights of sanctions busters. I do hope the government will re-look again at this. Sensible changes that would mean, for example, the burden of proof of sanctions busting and money laundering doesn't have to come from the UK, because, of course, brass plate companies tend to use the UK as a front and not do the illegal or nefarious activity in the UK. And a criminal bar of shutting down brass plate companies is never going to be acceptable. We always will need an intelligence-led solution. Of course, transparency also with beneficial ownership will be vitally important to make sure that we follow the money and we hurt people that hurt our country where it matters, in their pocket. Now, of course, that kind of leadership is the robust leadership that you can expect from the Labour Party and a Labour government. One which works with international frameworks, one which shuts down loopholes, one which sometimes brings our allies along with us, even if it means pausing and waiting for a few moments. And while Labour has called for cool heads, of course some members opposite have not. And of course I am delighted now that we have moved forward with coordinated action. But there are other things that we maybe need to do. Members here have talked about the ongoing IT security threat that Russia has. And we must look now at investing in security technologies based on cryptographics, based on actually tackling the real danger that Russia poses, systematically using, not illegally, but not alone, social media, of course, to determine fake news. Of course, it is not the first time Britain has had the media try and infiltrate elections, and it will not be the last. And that's why things such as Leveson and other mediator-regulated inquiries are so important. And that is why it was a great shame that Leveson, which would have looked at the standards in our media, which of course are also owned by foreign interests sometimes, would have been an important step forward. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are things that we can continue to do. Shutting down the corruption in our city would be one of them. But we must applaud both the Leader of the Opposition and, I will say, the Prime Minister for level heads in this and not refer to people as traitors or enemies. We are in this together. Thank you, Mr. Deputy.